Refer a friend and get free hosting. Brought to you by Server Core Systems. Databases. Go ahead and click MySQL Database. Alright, so this is very important that this step isn't done wrong. It's very important that you remember your database and you remember your password. What a database is this is where Joomla stores all saved information. All of your usernames, all of everything you typed, let's say on the front page for an article. If you decided, hey, I want to make an article about my newly born brother, and you start typing on it and you save it on Joomla, your database is where Joomla stores its information. Without this, if you forget your password or you delete a database, Joomla disappears. It says, hey, what's going on? I don't remember anything. So you're going to want to create a database that's easy to remember and a username that's easy to remember. I'll go ahead and show you how to do that. So right here, create a new database. You're going to want to do this. You shouldn't have any here. Go ahead and type, I made mine home. I'll go ahead and make another one, user, and then click create database. This is very simple. cPanel manages all the back-end stuff, so you don't have to worry about actually going into MySQL administrative systems or anything like that. There's no code you have to write. It's very straightforward. Go ahead and click go back. It says you created a database, user. Now you're going to want to create a username and a user for that database. So the database is where the information is stored, and the user is who accesses that database. You can appoint different rights to that user. Go ahead and create one. I just made mine user1. This is where it gets real important. Now, if you're just doing a test site, I would recommend just putting in a simple password. But if you're doing a permanent website that a lot of people go to, you're going to want to generate a password. And you're going to want it to be incredibly strong. This prevents hackers from infiltrating your site. It's a very good security measure. Your password's all that's keeping you from losing your information on the internet. So I'm going to use a simple password because this is a temporary site. But if you're using a site that's permanent, go ahead and generate a password. I'm going to make my password Bubbles. And it says that it's pretty weak, which isn't good. This could probably be hacked in a matter of minutes. Go ahead and click create user once you've entered your username and password. Go back. Okay, now you want to appoint the user to the database. See, it doesn't have a user still. Scroll down, add user to database. It's very straightforward. You select the user you want to appoint to the database, and now you select the database. Click add. Alright, you're going to want to appoint all privileges. Just check this box. Then click make changes. Okay, and your database and user have been created. Since I made a different name for my user than my database, you're going to want to copy each one. So go ahead and copy this whole thing. That's the name of your database. You may have said, hey, I want my new database to mean Bob or something. If you click Bob, or I name mine user in here, it's not going to just be Bob or user. It's going to be your account name with your database. It needs to be in there. Go ahead and go back to your installer. Your host name is always localhost. Localhost. The next thing is your username. We copied the database name, so go ahead and click paste server core user1 or whatever. Go ahead and go back to users and copy that. Click paste, and my password was Bubbles. B-U-B-B-L-E-S. Go ahead and click next. It should take you right to the next page. However, if it didn't take you to the next page, you need to check your settings. If it took you to a page that could not contact your database, you need to make sure you did this step exactly as I said. Okay? Click next. You don't need this. I used to always fill this in for no reason at all. I'm sure that there's some setting out there that requires FTP, but I've never needed it in the 3 years I've used Joomla. So go ahead and click next. Here's where it starts to get easier. You start to recognize things. Your site name. When you enter it here, this is what Joomla labels your site as, such as Bob. If you put Bob, it should show up on the top corner when you go to your website. I'm going to name mine Server Core Home. Your email is also important. This is where your updates are thrown. If you forget your password, this is where it sends your password. So make sure you put a valid email in there. It's not like it's going anywhere else but your server. Your password is also very important. If you forget your password, you can always request a new one. But I'm going to make my password Bubbles, since I love that password so much. Alright, and also, you don't want to mess with any of these settings, but install sample data. You need to do this. The reason is because if you're a first-time user to Joomla, you're going to want some examples up. So go ahead and click that. However, if you're familiar and you know what you're doing, don't install it. It's kind of annoying if you already know what you're doing. But if you don't, it's very important, and it makes things easier for you. Go ahead and click Next. What I'm asking you to do is remove your installation directory for security purposes. It's very easy. If you still have your file manager open, go to it. But if you don't, go ahead and go back to your control panel. Scroll down and click File Manager. Okay, double click Public HTML. Double click Home. Scroll down to Installation, check it, and delete. That's all you got to do. Just delete the installation directory. Don't ever keep that there. Okay, and now it's going to detect that you deleted it, so go ahead, remember your password, remember your username, click Admin. Mine is Admin and Bubbles. Alright, click Login. And here is the control panel.
This episode has been brought to you by Server Core Systems, Solutions.